Whenever a man complains about how women dress and whatever, I would challenge him, let me see your search history. That's what I want to see. So if you're going to be out here complaining that women are taking this off and not covering up whatever. But anyways, I think what happens with a lot of men is that they don't recognize that just because they can compartmentalize their lives in their own minds, meaning this is my wife here, right? In this box, she's good. She's, she's humble. She's modest. She's dressed right. And then, okay, so I can put her in this box. And then here I can have, go online on social media and look at pictures and like OnlyFans, on this side, then the other women that I can, get my rocks off to can be in this box. They don't recognize that just because they can compartmentalize in their own minds, their lives in this way, that the rest of us can see you. Like, we can see you, right? So when you're here saying two completely opposite things, saying that women should be modest and humble and small and covered up, but you can't stop liking pictures on Instagram. What do you want people, what are women supposed to do with that?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on a Couples Development Podcast. I am your co-host, Coach Clark, and I'm here with the lovely Coach Mel, my wife, and we're here to talk about all things relationships. Today, the topic I would like to discuss why modern marriages are an absolute mess.
Okay.
Out on these streets.
Okay.
So, all right. So, first, let's start with like the basics, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your definition of a wife?
My definition of a wife?
Yes.
A wife is a partner. That's my entire definition.
Okay. What is your definition of a husband?
A husband is a partner, a protector, and a provider,
Ooh.
and a leader.
Add more to that?
That's it.
Wife is a partner?
Yes.
And a husband is what again?
A provider, a protector, and a leader.
Interesting. 2024?
Well, you asked me my definition.
You're right. Oh, you're correct. Okay.
That's my definition.
Fair. Well, all right. Well, what do you think a stereotypical definition of a wife is?
The stereotypical definition?
Yes.
Probably supporter, helper, nurturer, comforter, maybe.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm guessing.
All right. No, okay. That's fine. So, well, my definition of I'll start with husband. Everything you said I agree with. Definition of a husband, in my opinion, is someone who is responsible for his family,
Mm-hmm.
Someone who provides for his family, who will do whatever it takes to keep his family safe. Someone who puts his family first. I'm Christian, so someone who puts God for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And, he follows the teachings of Jesus, and with that can properly lead his family. I think he's a leader. I think he's a role model for his children. And yeah, I think it's a husband's job to be somewhat of a visionary for his family.
Mm-hmm.
And be the, and I heard this from Pastor Tory Roberts, and he said to his wife, Sarah Dick Roberts, he said that he wants to foster an environment that allows her to grow. I think that's what it said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, foster an environment that allows his wife to grow and be the best version of herself that she can be. right? And that's my definition of a husband. Oh, also, obviously if there are kids involved, a role model disciplinarian, yeah.
Okay.
Someone who keeps structure, things like that. And and someone who takes action, someone who's quick thinking. If something needs to be solved, he's quick on his feet, things like that. I think that's what a husband should be.
Okay. And your definition of a wife?
And a definition of a wife for me, someone who allows her husband to be someone who allows her husband to fully become the man that he was created to be and not take anything away from his purpose. Someone who can add value to her husband, someone who can provide just the right amount of estrogen to where he needs emotional support. If he needs, a place to lay his head because he's tired, because typically men are going to say that. Women are going to like to hear this, but to kind of, be empathetic to a point where she can kind of read him just a little bit to know that, yeah, he needs a hug right now, or, he needs to lay on my lap right now, or, he needs me to lay on him right now, or he can use an ego boost right now, meaning, a compliment, or you're such a good man, or things like that. Because again, her doing that is to her benefit anyway, because her doing those things are going to make him want to protect her more, provide for her more, do for her more, and whatever. It just goes hand in hand. I guess that's how nature works. I don't know. What else? I think she's a good nurturer. Like I said, all men and women have all three hormones: progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone. Obviously, one sex has more, two of the other, whatever, right? More women have more progesterone and estrogen, and so on and so forth. So, just the warmth, of a woman just calms you. It's just a calming energy, and being able to, when he's out there, I know it's going to sound old school, when he's out there fighting the world, and it's okay, and he comes home, to kind of like be that safe space for him, so where he can just, everything's okay. As crazy as it is out there, at least I have her, and she'll always have my back. Nurturer, good mother, a good companion, also a good partner, someone to grow with. That would be I think, in my opinion, the definition of a wife. And again, and on both ends, sorry, Jesus, I think that a husband should do any and everything he can in his power, or willing to not make his wife happy, because you can't make anyone happy, but to bring about as many things that he can think of based on what she's shared with him that can add on to her happiness, right? And to make her feel good, inside and out. And the other way around too, I think a woman, I think a man, a husband should take pride in wanting to make his wife feel good, whether it's surprising her, whether it's whatever she likes, whether it's, taking her out to do something fun, whether it's pleasing her in a bedroom, whether it's, being affectionate to her, whatever it is, he should take pride in that. And I think it should go the other way around too. Like a wife she should take pride in pleasing her husband. She should take pride in, wanting to, keep him satisfied. He should take pride in, if her husband is attracted to her, I mean, which he should be, she should embrace the fact that he's, attracted to her. So if he's like looking at her and he wants to grab her, or, wants to touch her and everything else, I'm not saying don't have boundaries or anything like that, but it should be, endearing to her. Like, hey, I've promised this man, forever. And, his body is mine, my body is his. And when he looks at me, he likes what he sees. And that should be something that she's honored by and would, not necessarily block that, but encourage that per se. Because again, all that does, it feels good in his head. It builds up his testosterone and makes him want to, kill for her pretty much, not literally. So it's just, again, it's just nature. So he needs to provide a safe space for her to flourish, right? And become the best, the best version of herself that she can be inside and out. And she should be a safe place for him to, when he's out there fighting battles and everything, to be a safe space where he doesn't have to fight anymore, where he can just, given that he's healthy, right? So, sorry, I'm coughing so much. Yeah, that's the long definition.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
A clarifying question?
Yes.
So I heard you say that, I don't disagree with a lot of what you said, but I do have a question for you. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounded like you were saying that when you were saying that a wife should anticipate her husband's needs, like laying on the lap and, things like that. And what I would call that is, I would call that attunement, that a good wife is highly attuned to her husband's needs, so she can anticipate them before he has to ask for them to be met. Do you believe that that a husband should be as highly attuned to his wife's needs so that he can anticipate them before she has to ask for them to be met?
Yeah. Now, there's a fine line between mind reading and that, because honestly, it's all mind reading. Now, the thing is, both should kind of like know each other. When you're with someone for a while, you kind of like know, she's not in a good mood right now, or he's, you can kind of know. And so, one, again, obviously we should always be curious when it comes to relationships. You should always ask. But oftentimes human beings are programmed to just say, oh, nothing. Right. And so, yeah, I agree that he should also be in tuned, where, let's say, if he knows, just random example, if he knows it's that time of the month and I don't know, she likes ice cream or specific things she eats, or she likes certain chocolates or whatever the hell it is, right? And there's a lot of pain, blah, 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 him anticipating that and let's say getting her, some chocolates that she likes, or like a warm compress or, things like that. It's ways that, it's not, oh my God, the greatest thing ever, but those things like that reminds her that she's loved and reminds her like, oh, I could do this by myself, but it's harder for me to do this by myself. Because if I'm cramping, I'm doing this, that, and the other, going to the grocery store, getting myself, chocolates is not really something I really want to do right now. But having someone do that for me just takes a load off of me.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's just one quick example. And the other way around, let's say, guy, and again, it's going to sound different, but let's say a guy is, stressed with work, or he has a deadline to meet, or whatever the hell it is, right? Her, realizing that, and let's say offering him a back rub, or just allowing, I heard this from another woman in a different podcast, but a lot of women won't like this, but allowing herself to be small in his arms, right? I don't know how to explain that correctly, but that it's just like, yeah, she depends on me, it's kind of like when you have I don't want to compare women to babies, but when you have a newborn baby, it's like, oh my God, I must protect this thing, right? And so, allowing herself to kind of understand now women are independent, and oh my God, I can vote, whatever, I'm joking. Women can do lots of things now, right? Women can do things, right? Got it. But what I'm saying is like that part right there, because a lot of things, because modern women still want traditional men. They don't want modern men. Matter of fact, they want traditional men who's gone to therapy. That's what they want, right? They don't want men crying all the time. They don't want men, for the most part, putting on makeup. They don't want men doing, things that aren't traditionally men, for the most part, right? So I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, but stereotypically they don't, right? They typically don't want men to have softer hands than them, right? They want men, that whole thing, right? It's like, it's opposite to track. So with that, like her understanding how to be soft in his arms, or how to be smaller in his arms everything, can basically do a lot for him. That
Can I ask
doesn't
you a
mean
question about that?
one second. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean dimming her light so he can shine. That doesn't mean, I don't know, acting stupid or whatever it is, but it's more so of a physical thing.
Okay.
But go ahead.
I have a question for you about the allowing herself to be small, because when I hear that, it sounds like she's making a choice not to allow herself to be small.
Yeah.
Do men think that it's a decision that women are making? Like she's able to be small, but she's choosing not to?
I think subconsciously it is. And I think it'd be...
I'm sorry, I didn't...
Yeah.
You're saying subconsciously for a woman, it's...
Well, I'm not sure if I said that right, but I'll say this. From my understanding, modern women, because of the things their mothers went through, directly, indirectly, were told, don't depend on him.
Okay.
Don't wait on him. Do for yourself. Take care of yourself. Provide for yourself. Blah, 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 blah. You don't need a man, et cetera, et cetera. It's the programming from like the time they come out. That's what they're programmed to do, right? And so what it is that those things are traditionally things that men had to do to support the family. And so these are traditional, I'm not saying always, masculine roles. So now what happens is women women are born being told you need to be in your masculine role all the time. Well, there's very little time to cry. There's very little time to be emotional. There's very little time to lower your voice or be soft or anything like that. You need to be assertive. You need to be decisive. You need to be direct. If you're trying to be a boss, if you're trying to lead, if you're trying to make the money and everything else. And so with that, I think that it just, without them actually, because women are like, what am I doing wrong? It's not being conscious of the fact that there are ways, like as hard as these women are, there's still going to be ways they want a man to be. And how they want a man to be, they don't want a man to be indecisive. They don't want a man to be indirect. They don't want a man to be unassertive. They don't want a man to be weak and soft and everything else. Most, at least I would think, don't want that. And so while they are doing those things, the guy who typically has those traits isn't typically going to be attracted to that kind of energy. He's going to want the energy that completes him. So, which is why, again, two type A personalities rarely get together. Like I'll use an example. Like women won't like this, right? I don't know about their inner, how their household works, but let's talk about Jay-Z and Beyonce for a second, right? Okay. Beyonce makes women empowerment, boss chick music, blah, 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 blah music, right? I'm almost certain that the majority of her listeners are women empowerment. I don't need a man. Me. We got this, go girls, whatever, right? That said, that's a fully married woman with children. And when she is next to her husband, observe them.
I think the issue is that men often confuse female empowerment and man hating music. They're not one and the same. They're two different things.
Well, yes. The problem is that the female empowerment music is one thing. The people who talk about it, read the comment section. That's why I don't need. It's like it gets to that point. Okay. So it becomes that. I'm not saying that's what the artist intended for it to be, but it definitely becomes that. So what I'm trying to say is, if you look at Beyonce and Jay-Z, I'm pretty sure a bunch of her fans are going to think of her as soft or as they're going to think of her feminine, of course. They're not going to think of her as soft, but every time she's around that man stands tall, and she's like, she knows. She says it herself in the lyric. She knows how to play her role, right? How the lyric go again?
I don't know which one you're talking.
The Martin. I could be your Martin. Be a Coretta. Play the lead role or something like that. You said it in the video.
Run by the men, but the women keep the tempo.
Yeah.
It's very seldom that you're blessed to find your equal. To play my part and let you take the lead role, believe me. That's what she says.
So can you say that one more
To
time?
play my part and let you take the lead role, believe me. That's what she says. Yeah.
Right. And she says that. And I'm pretty sure, a lot of the women right over their heads. And so that doesn't mean you're controlling and you're telling her what to do and this, that, and the other. Yeah. It's just, again, it's just a dance, man. And again, it's nature. I don't know. That's, for some reason, that's how God made it. But
yeah, there's a few things. When you were saying that when a man goes out there and fights for her,
I'm projecting.
Sometimes I feel like people are living in a false reality when they talk about things like that. Like the man goes out there to fight for her. because women are out there fighting too.
Absolutely.
So if we're living in a society where both men and women are out there fighting, they both are going to need that soft landing place in a way when they get back home, because they were fighting all day.
I agree.
So we can't, it's not so black and white as men go out and fight and work and women comfort them at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because we don't live in that world. So
right. But remember, you asked me for my definition. That's what
that's, I understood that. I was just saying that when I hear men in general say that, it can feel like they just want to say things that sound good while ignoring the reality of the society that we actually live in. It can just really come across that way.
Yeah, because nowadays more and more women are making at the same amount of money, if not more. So then how does that work? Right. So I understand your point there.
Yeah.
Now, the stereotypical definition though, I'm sure you're gonna agree with me. Stereotypically the men goes out and work, the husband goes and brings home the bacon, the wife cooks it and takes care of the kids. Stereotypically, right? That's pretty much,
I mean, traditionally,
yeah. Okay. Traditionally, yeah. That's changed quite often. Well, quite a lot, I should say. Because of the dynamics with the genders and everything.
Yeah.
So, do you think the media has played a role in how traditional marriages look or how modern marriages look?
I would like to answer that question, but I don't watch a lot of TV, so I'm having a hard time thinking about husband and wife characters. If you give me an example, I can answer your question. I'm just right now, I can't really think of them because I don't watch that much.
Well, I'll say this. One thing men don't like hearing, don't like seeing, is how a lot of times they're portrayed on TV. Typically, like, for example, Everybody Loves Raymond, King of Queens, things like that. The husband is kind of like stupid and the wife is like, she's angry, but she's the one that keeps things together type of thing. And a lot of times you see commercials, like, let's say there's a spill, they have to clean the mess. The guy's like, oh my God, how do I clean this mess? Yeah. And then the woman comes in and she's like, she like knows what to do and everything. It's just kind of like this. Men are made to look stupid quite often, and women are made to look a lot more, intelligent and in control, especially with like current and modern ads.
With the commercials, it is an exaggeration, but there is some truth to it. Like, there just really is. Like, and men themselves in life play into that, because often you'll hear men often say, men forget things often. We just forget, so in a way they're kind of playing into that stereotype. So do you understand what I'm saying? I know what you're saying. So if they say they forget things often, then the commercial, although it's an exaggeration, those commercials are an exaggeration. They're not that far off. Like, if I give a personal example, like, it's often where, like, if let's say there's spilled water on on the floor, everyone who lives in that house, me, you, and our kids will be able to, after that floor is wiped, know who wiped that floor. The reason is because, do you understand what I'm saying? So it's kind of like the other day, you cleaned the kitchen. No, the living room the other day. Yes. And you were like, and I said to you, I said, babe, thanks for, cleaning the living room. And then you were like, oh, is it good? And I'm like, yeah, it's good. But to be honest with you, I did the bedroom, you did the living room. If you compare the two, you would see a stark difference, right? So what I'm saying is that not that I'm not gonna, you cleaned it. So I'm like, babe, thanks, for taking care of that. I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's not good enough, like I would never do that. But what I'm saying is there are some differences. Like, I remember that social media thing when men were saying that they could land a plane. A plane,
yes.
And those just I can do that. Yeah. I can land the plane. But there was this one comment, this woman left. I was dying because it's 100% true. She was like, all these men think they can land a plane but can't find the ranch dressing in the refrigerator. And the reason why I thought it was hilarious is because it's true. How often in our house are you and our two boys coming, they looking for something and like, mom, can't find it. And I go and it's just like, it's right here. It's right here. It's right here.
Yeah.
And sometimes men will say on social media, they'll be like, oh, well, the reason we can't find it is because you moved it. No, that's not true.
It is true.
It's not true. It's not true. It's because there's something, and I don't know what it is because I don't know anything about it. But I am literally the only female in our house. I have a husband, two boys, 2 male dogs, and a male cat. I'm literally the only female energy in my household. So there is some truth to those commercials. Like I said, they are exaggerated, obviously, just for, I guess, comedic purposes. They're exaggerated. But there is some truth to it. And I think that there are certain aspects of reality that we try to ignore and act like it's not true. And I think it's more helpful for people when we do accept certain gender truths. People don't like to hear that because we want to say we're exactly the same. Men and women are exactly the same. But I don't find that to be very helpful when we pretend like certain things aren't true. I just don't.
You think that's a dangerous thing to say? You think there are gender truths?
Yeah, there are.
It's 2024.
No, but there are.
Okay.
It is what it is. There are.
Like what?
Give you some examples of
Yes,
them?
I would love to hear some examples of gender truths.
A good example, I think, from the time now, whether or not these gender truths are is nature or nurture, I don't know that. I couldn't tell you. Nevertheless, they still exist, right? So it is what it is. Okay. So, for example, girls from the time that they're born, they're taught to put other people's needs first, to care for other people first, to be self-sacrificial. Boys aren't taught to be as self-sacrificial as girls are taught to be. And there may be a link to the idea that we say that women are more empathic. There may be a link to that. So if we're always taught and raised to put other people's needs first, we're going to think about other people before we think about ourselves. Boys are raised, you don't cry, you tough it out, you suck it up. So that would be a gender difference. Fair. Now, whether or not that's, like I said, nature or nurture, I don't know. But I think I don't want to say asinine because that's rude, but I just don't think it's helpful to pretend like those differences don't exist. And just because those differences exist, it doesn't mean that applies to every single woman or that it applies to every single man. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
But nevertheless, if we say that something impacts, doesn't impact 10% of people, that's still a lot of people.
No, yeah. A lot,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Because the United States is 30 million people.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, just shift a little bit. What do you think the difference, because I hear a lot of women saying, because I love being a husband.
Yeah.
Right? Love it. It's great. It's awesome. Right? Women
It's because of me.
I agree. It is because of you. Right? The other way around, no, it is. I'm telling you, yes, it is. Yeah. Right? I don't have a problem saying that. Now, women on the other hand, oftentimes you'll see on social media, like, like, why would I want to get married? Like, I remember there was this video going viral. It was Chinese propaganda, I think. But anyway, it was going viral where it showed a guy proposing to a woman. And the woman says, oh my God, yes. She puts the ring on. And then she has a vision of her life. It shows them wedding, honeymoon. They go home and they have kids. And then she's home in her bathrobe, taking care of the baby with one hand, cooking with the other hand, and cleaning. And the guy comes home and just sits down, does nothing. And basically, and then afterwards, she's kind of like, yeah, no, she took the ring off and gave it back to him. And I found that ad, again, pretty disgusting.
What was it? You said it wasn't an American ad, right?
No, well, it was all over Twitter.
Oh, okay.
It was all over social media. But yeah, it's like, at best, I'm pretty sure that day, the amount of women who were proposed to that saw that, there's like the chances of them saying no increased tremendously.
Yeah.
Right. And again, I understand it, but man, so my question is, do you think there's a difference with a woman wanting to be a wife or wanting to be a partner? Is there a difference with a wife and a partner?
I think they're one and the same, but I think that men see it differently.
Go ahead.
I think that men see a wife in a way, for lack of a better term, as a subordinate. a submissive and inferior. And I think that women see a wife as a partner. We are equal. Just because we have different roles and responsibilities doesn't mean that we're not equals and that we're not partners. Did I answer your question? I'm not certain if I did or not.
You did.
Yeah.
Why do you think? So do you think women enjoy being? Do you think women enjoy being a wife? Let's do this. I'll ask it this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like at one point, I'm an 80s baby. I feel like at one point, calling yourself a wife was a flex.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it is anymore. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that, but I think the time where it was a flex probably wasn't ours or younger. I think the proposal was a flex. I think the ring was a flex. I think the wedding was a flex. But actually being a wife, I don't remember that at all. I think before maybe, but I don't remember that at all.
Reason being is because a lot of times music kind of tells you what's going on in society. And 90s R&B was a lot of I got a man, he's my man, you're not gonna get him from me. And it was like a thing with that, right? Like women are very possessive over the men that they have.
Yeah.
And
I might have taken your question too literal because I took it as a wife, not as having a man. I took your question literally, like being a wife, not necessarily being in a relationship, but being a wife. So I probably took your question too literally.
Yeah. Maybe we should say relationships because a lot of people don't want to get married right now. If I'm not mistaken, right? I don't know. But whatever. Anyway. Either way, husband or not, what I hear now in music is very different. It's me, I get the bag, I do by myself. Yeah. I'm bad, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a boss, I'm da 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 da. Before, and with the Mel side is look how many women I have, look at this, look at that, blah, 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 right? The 90s, it was more of a mixture. Men are like, please, baby, please don't leave me. I love you so much. I'll give you the world. And then, of course, look how many women I have, right? But the women, it wasn't, I'm out here, I'm bad, I don't need a man, I get the bag. It was,
the boy is mine.
The boy is mine. Yes. He wants me. Get your own man. He's my man. I got it. Shantae's got a man. This, that, and the other. It's very different. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like I feel like there's
I can agree with that. I think that
like something changed. Like between the 90s, there was like a transition period between the 2000s, 2015s, and then like now it's like it's very different.
Yeah.
Like it's like R&B for women is more like complaining about stupid men and how annoying they are. And this is why I'm by myself. And this is why I cheated on you. And this is why that's what I hear a lot of. It's like almost surprising to hear, or some, I'm a boss chick, whatever thing. It's almost surprising to hear a woman profess how much she loves a man and, things like that and how much he means to her type of thing. And vice versa too. Yeah. And then towards women. So.
Yeah. I can see that. I think people aren't going to like when I say this, but I think women woke up, and I think that's what happened. No, I do. I think what happened is that women woke up. I think that before it was just enough to have a male body in your house, and I think women are like, that's not good enough anymore. If you're going to be in this house, you're going to have to do stuff to stay in this house. I think women have requirements now that they didn't have before. So. I'm just, yeah.
What? Okay. So you said that you think the difference between the women in the 90s and the music in the 90s versus the music now, and the things that women, I don't know for the most part, but quite a lot follow, is that women woke up.
Yeah.
So when you say women woke up, women who weren't awake and were sleeping, what were they doing in relationships?
They were gaslighting themselves. They were telling themselves a story that just having a male around was a big deal. I think that had a lot to do with it. I think that post 2000s, women were just like, we're going to stop lying to ourselves. We're going to snap ourselves out of this denial and ask for our needs to be met and state what our requirements are. And I think that's what happened. Yeah, I think that's what happened.
What needs weren't being met before that are, well, what needs weren't being met before?
Like, for example, we spoke in our last pod about how women have been working out of the household for a long time. So women were still playing good wife in the home while taking on the male role as well and being a provider and working outside of the house. Women got to a point where they recognized, like, wait, I'm doing more than you now. We're not even partners. We're not even equals anymore. I was telling myself we're equals, but I'm doing way more than you. I'm working outside of the house. I'm taking care of you inside the house. I'm taking care of the kids inside the house. You are not being a good emotional support system for me. Like, this isn't a good deal here. So I think women woke up where it was just like, listen, I still want a relationship with you, but you're going to have to do more. Like, it can't just be you're a male body in the house and that's good enough. I think that's what happened. It's not that women no longer want relationships. They're just struggling to see the value in it.
Do you feel like that's a result of the messaging that their mothers sent to them directly or indirectly?
I don't think it's a result of the messaging that the mothers gave them, because the mothers gave them the messaging for a reason. So I think it's a result of how women were treated before. So I don't think it's a result of what women did wrong, as in the mothers did wrong. I think it's a result of what men did wrong, and therefore mothers felt like they were, their hands were forced to tell their daughters to kind of raise their daughters to always have their armor up and to have their guard up. I don't think women felt like they had a choice.
When you say the things men did wrong, what do you mean? Like, can you be specific?
Like thinking that if they were the primary breadwinner, that they gave them the right to control their wives. That was wrong. Them thinking that they shouldn't have to do household work because that's a female thing to do. That was wrong. Them thinking that just because they're male and God made them to spread their seed around, that they have the right to go and cheat and do this and do that and bring all types of, side chick drama into their lives. It was a mess. Because what men don't understand is you can say all day that God made you to spread your seed all that you want to, but I'm pretty sure he also expected that you took care of those seeds too. Not just making them, but that you were there providing financially for them as well, with your time and your pockets. And the problem is that when you're in a marriage, listen, okay, the issue isn't so much so that women are like, please don't put your long john in another woman. The issue is that when you're in a marriage or in a relationship with a man and you have a child with him, there is an expectation that his financial resources goes to your child, meaning the child that we made together. So if you're out here begging whoever, however, you are saying that you think it's right for you to remove financial resources from our child's mouth for you to put in the mouth of somebody else's child. You understand what I'm saying? It's weird.
No, I get it.
So it's women put up with all that crap, and it's like, what am I going to do that for now? Like, I'll put it to you this way, especially for Black women, most HIV cases for Black women come from men. Because these men are out here doing all types of crap and then coming back into the house and banging the woman that's in their house. It's a problem, right? But they're out here talking about things like, oh, men are supposed to spread it. Like, shut up. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, stop. Like, it's not helpful. It is harmful. It is harmful to you, your wife, and your children. But you're still out here saying nonsense.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I say women woke up and they were like, this isn't safe for me. This is not good for me at all. It's not good.
Do you know? So is it around 2000s when this all started? Like,
probably, maybe, yeah, maybe it could be, but I'm not certain. All that I can tell you is that our mothers told us, "Hey, be careful, take care of yourself," because these men are not reliable. And was it a lie? I don't know.
Because. So to push back on that, I'm trying to think of, so all men are reliable. I just have to ask, because me, I know who was there raising me. My father wasn't.
Right.
How many, and Black men who want to push back on this, how many of your fathers were there? How many of your friends' fathers were there? Now, that's one level. Now, how many of them were healthy fathers that, did what they were supposed to do and this, that, and the other and set a good example? You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, like my father wasn't there, but from just stories that I've heard, from what I've heard, he was banging his patients. So,
Wow.
all that I'm saying is, women want, in an ideal world, women want that knight in shining armor. She really, truly does want that. But she's like, where is he? Where am I supposed to find him? He's out here with all these toxic beliefs where he thinks that he should, just because I'm a female and he's a male, he has the right to harm me. When I say harm, I mean, if you're out here banging whoever, you don't know what you're bringing back to her. And you think that's safe for her?
Yeah.
It's not safe for her.
No, I get it. So now in comes women's empowerment times 2, because we started from like 90s with a different world and everything else. Yeah. Here comes women empowerment times 2 now. And now they are, and a lot of men are bothered. Like, it's interesting seeing men complain about OnlyFans or IG chicks and everything else. And then you see how many followers and likes and whatever they have. And you're asking yourself, who are these followers? Right? I'm like, I don't know if it's women that want to see that are, I must let her know I like her breast look. I must let her know I like her. I don't know. But, I do find it interesting. But you gave an interesting theory that the reason why all of a sudden men are like, oh, they're no more, they're no more wives out here, because all these women want to just, they don't leave anything up to, imagination anymore. They're just taking their clothes off and this, that, and the other. And what you told me is that, no, I think that's BS. What I think it is that men were the ones who took the video vixens and put them in videos and objectified them, or put them in their magazines and objectified them, or put them in porn or whatever and objectified them. And now with OnlyFans and webs and this, that, and the other, and, Instagram, everything else, women have cut out the middleman. They could basically profit or, use their body as they wish and profit off of it without having to have a man involved at all, while profiting off of those same men. So it's like there's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of men, because what you're saying about they're still out here liking these pictures and watching these things or whatever. Whenever a man complains about how women dress and whatever, I would challenge him. Let me see your search history. That's what I want to see. So if you're going to be out here complaining that women are taking this off and not covering up whatever, but anyways, I think what happens with a lot of men is that they don't recognize that just because they can compartmentalize their lives in their own minds, meaning this is my wife here, right? In this box, she's good. She's, she's humble. She's modest. She's dressed right. And then, okay, so I can put her in this box. And then here I can have, go online on social media and look at pictures and like OnlyFans, on this side, then the other women that I can, get my rocks off to can be in this box. They don't recognize that just because they can compartmentalize in their own minds, their lives in this way, that the rest of us can see you. Like, we can see you, right? So when you're here saying two completely opposite things, saying that women should be modest and humble and small and covered up, but you can't stop liking pictures on Instagram. What do you want people, what are women supposed to do with that? Pretend like they don't see it? Pretend like they're not aware of it? Like, what are they supposed to do? Like, what is the ask? Like, what are they asking for? What are women supposed to do? It's kind of like this, right? The best way to prove to someone that you're about something is by not supporting the thing that you think is wrong. But you continue to support the thing you think is wrong. What?
Yeah.
Like, what? What are we talking about? Like, what are we talking about? It's nonsense.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Do you think women's empowerment or, to be honest, their humanity, do you think it's a threat, or do some guys see that as a threat to their masculinity?
Yes, there is something about women's humanity that is threatening to male masculinity. There is.
Explain what you mean by that.
What I mean by that is, I think that men have a desire to project any parts of themselves that they don't want to see in themselves into women. So I'll explain what I mean by that. So I want you to be small so that I can ignore the small sides of myself. I want you to be weak so I can ignore the weak parts of myself.
Wow.
I want you to be emotional so I can ignore the emotional sides of myself. So I think that there's this desire to compartmentalize in a way, right? The parts of himself that he doesn't want to see into a female body. And then say, we are completely different. I'm all the good parts, you're all the bad parts, and this is how I want to operate. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
Okay, so then why does he want her then?
Because he needs sex, because he needs comforting, because he needs holding, because he wants someone to take care of him. That's why. But at the same time, he has a desire to not see his weaknesses. Therefore, he'd prefer to see them in her. It's that simple. It is. Because what I'm saying is just because she's not small doesn't mean she doesn't deserve protection.
I'm a little speechless at that. That's interesting. Okay. I'm trying to find a way to help the fellas out here. Okay, so let's do this, right? Okay. So it's a bad way to transition. Wow. Do you think this is an issue that affects all men across all different races, or it's specifically...
I think it affects all men across all races, across all cultures since the beginning of time.
They want women to be this thing without judging or complaining about what he is or what he does, pretty much.
What do you mean?
So I'm asking, like, so what I'm saying is, what is it that you think has been going on since the beginning? Like what you just mentioned.
I think that men, again, like I said, I don't know if it's nature or nurture, because it could be both. I really don't, I don't have the answer to that. But, okay, so when we talk about something like religion, right? Religion also, in a way, preaches women are supposed to be smaller. They're supposed to be in the house. They're supposed to be quiet, right? And when a woman speaks, she is threatening to a man. So it's kind of like this, right? If I wasn't created to be able to fly, I'm not going to have wings, right? So if God gave me wings, it's because he intended for me to fly. You with me? So if God gives me a brain that's able to do the same things that he made you able to do, that means he intended for me to be able to do them. Right? So what happens is that instead of men radically accepting that women were designed to do these things, they prefer to try and pretend. You know that quote, the best way to control a man is to control his reality. You ever heard that quote? Okay. So I think that men have been trying to control women's reality since the beginning of time by telling them you're smaller, you're not as intelligent, you're not as logical. So they're trying to control her reality. They wouldn't do that if they really believed that she was inferior.
Right. I mean, because
she wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah. Not only that, you're not really going to tell, I can't say midget, can I? No.
You can.
You got to compose yourself.
I'm sorry. Maybe you cannot. You can. I'm good.
No, you're not.
My mascara is about to run, but I'm good. Go ahead.
You're laughing and they don't know why you're laughing. Like, why the fuck is she laughing?
Okay. I'm going to behave. Go ahead, baby. I'm sorry. It's your fault. You said it. Now my mascara is running. Go ahead.
Anyway, yeah, because a normal, healthy adult isn't going to go to some 5-year-old and be like, haha, I'm smarter than you, haha. It's like,
right.
It's like, you know what I mean? So it's typically people who are insecure that say things like, oh, you think you're smarter than me, don't you?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you do.
Yeah.
You just told on yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, you think you're better than me, don't you? Oh, you do. You just told on yourself.
Yeah, it's kind of like even if you think about something like slavery, and the slaves weren't allowed to learn to read, if the slave masters truly believe it's because Black people were dumber, they'd be like, read it. You won't get it anyways. You don't, right? So,
yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
I probably didn't answer your question, but yeah.
I don't, honestly, you just threw me for a loop. I don't remember the question, to be honest.
I think you asked me, do I think that that's specific to Black men or if that goes across all races?
Yeah, you answered that already. I was just trying to, so you said men are threatened. Men take women's humanity as a threat, pretty much.
To their masculinity. I think that they view women's, not all, obviously, when I say they, okay, but I'm saying that there is this narrative, this male narrative out there that women's humanity is threatening to male masculinity. I'll give you an example. I'm going to give you an example. So humans are driven by purpose.
Yes. Not
Humans are driven by vision for their life and what they want for themselves. But you'll hear a lot of men say that a woman's role is to just adopt his vision and support his purpose. So that is removing a part of her humanity, because part of her humanity, part of her humanity is to find her purpose and her calling in life. And that for her might be being, a wife and mother. There are some women that they believe that that's their purpose and that's their calling. There's nothing wrong with that. But men try and force all women to feel like that's their purpose and that's their calling.
I'm just trying to figure out the why, though. Is it because because I don't know if men were I know women were raised to, hey, be careful, be careful. What are men raised to?
What do you mean?
To do? Like, meaning get a wife or get married or take care of this. It's like, I don't know. Like, take care of house stuff. I mean, fix things, make sure you check the oil type of crap. But I'm just trying to figure out, are men taught how to be husbands and by whom?
I don't think men or women are taught how to be husbands or wives. In our current society, I don't think that's not a thing.
But women, okay, are girls taught how to be women? More. So here's where I'm getting at, right? Okay. In our community, the Black community, right? The majority of our, of us are raised in single family households. Those single family households are typically led by women. So I'm trying to ask is that I feel like as a woman, now, whether or not your mother is healthy, that's a different story, but you're going to see an example of what a woman is supposed to be. According to, she's going to pay bills, she's going to provide, she's going to protect, she's going to nurture you or take care of you or things like that, or put a Band-Aid on you or whatever. A girl can observe her mom doing that.
Yeah.
A son, can observe his mother doing that. So boys grow up seeing what women are supposed to be according to what they see their mother doing. They usually don't see their mother interacting with a man and see what the man is doing for the mother. They usually see the mother and what she's doing. So both boys and girls, in the Black community, I feel like for the most part, they typically get the same view. They like, women do this. I get it. Which is everything. Right? Now, a girl, she's going to be like, well, I'm supposed to do everything for myself because of what my mother did. The boys are going to see she does everything for herself and for me. Now, these people grow up, they enter their 20s or 30s. If none of them are giving specific instructions on what requires being a wife or what's the requirements of being a husband, but one's giving instructions on take care of yourself, girl, do for yourself, girl, wait for these men, girl. What are those single moms telling these boys? Are they telling them anything at all? Are they telling them treat women right, do this or da-da-da? Or are they just, he's a boy, whatever, just basically taking care of his basic needs? Are you getting what I'm trying to get at?
I understand what you're saying.
Because one more thing, because for me, my theory is they don't. Yeah. So again, because my theory is women don't sit there and, they might tell, a boy to, hey, open doors or be a gentleman, but in terms of like, hey, you're going to be a man. This is what men do, either by observing or, by her telling. He is going to see her and what she's doing. So both little Black boys and girls who are raised in single parent households, which are majority led by women or Black women, are seeing the exact same thing growing up. When they're in their when they're ready to get married, 25, 30, 35, men are going to expect, well, my mother did everything and took care of me. She paid her bills. She provided for me. She was caring for me. She cooked. She cleaned. She this, that, and the other. And she makes sure my boo-boo was okay. And she makes sure I was clean. She makes sure my clothes were clean and folded them and everything else. This is what a woman is.
Yeah, no, I get that. And I don't disagree with you.
Last thing, okay. And last thing, now, the women, I'm supposed to be this, but absent of this man. So now what happens is these women get in relationships and they don't have to take care of themselves. And then, so like you said, they start to ask themselves, why do I need you? And so the men are like, well, I know why I need you because I needed my mother for this. The women are like, well, I needed my mother for that too. And she trained me to be her. I am her now.
Yeah.
So you need me? So do I need you to be needed by you? Is that what my purpose is? I literally just thought of that and go ahead. That's
Well,
I think I just figured it out.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
You said a lot there.
Yeah. I'm sorry for taking so long.
No.
You
said a lot there. Like I agree with everything you said.
That's a first.
You liar.
That's a first.
You liar.
Makes sense because I'm talking.
You stop. No, that's not true. But I do. I think that there's a few things in there. So when you said a boy watches his mother do everything, feed him, do his laundry, clean, take care of him, go to work, make the money, pay the bills. The issue with that is when that man has that expectation of a girlfriend or a wife, right? He's going to have that expectation. But what he misses is that she cannot mother you and bang you. He's going to miss that because he has this expectation that she does everything his mother did while desiring him sexually. How do those things are?
I'm with you, and I think, like I said, I think I just cracked it because
do that.
I get you because the thing is, his animalistic desires, again, heterosexual people, his animalistic desire is like, ooh, squirrel, I want her, and she's pretty, I want to know her, and oh shit, sorry for cursing. Oh snap, I want to have sex with her. Ooh, why am I getting hurt? You know what I mean? Like it's like he can't control. Well, yeah, he can't control that. Now, after the sex part happens, what is she? Like remember we saying the last part we did. A lot of men think that women are just holes for them. I can see why, because the only thing this is going to sound weird. The only thing that separates you from my mother is the fact that I want to bang you. After I no longer want to bang you or we're done banging, be a mom. Be a woman. Well, and what a woman is what my mom did.
Yeah, but you already have a mama. You don't need another one. You can live with her too.
I mean, yes.
Okay. And so leave me alone.
Right, and a lot of dudes do.
Good.
And so
stay there.
Right. But what happens is this.
Yeah.
Now, if it's like, they are just going to just, what's the word I'm looking for? Hook up with someone, right? They arrive, they do the thing, and they leave. For men not looking for relationships, it is what it is.
Okay.
But the thing is, naturally, because God said we're not meant to be alone, naturally you're going to want that relationship. And when you see someone he's different, you want to be in a relationship with her, what happens is that, okay, yeah, you do the sex thing, but then you want the other. And the other stuff you want with her, you are expecting her to be your mother. Hence Martin with My Mama Biscuits and this, that. You expect her to literally do everything her mom did because it's no big deal. You don't sit there and appreciate the things your caretaker or your mother did for you because that's just normal.
Yeah.
Kids are, what do you call them? Kids are little narcissists. Like
they're supposed to be.
Yeah, no, I don't care. You're supposed to do that.
Yeah.
So parents would go and say, "Oh, do you know how much I had to work?" And that's none of their business. They didn't ask to be. That's your responsibility, right? And so with that said, they are seeing this is what a woman is. Okay, not her. Okay, well, my aunt does the same thing. My little cousins, when I go sleep over my little cousin's house, their mom does the same thing, and their dad isn't there. They don't even know. They probably even realize that dad isn't there. They're just like, this is the norm.
Yeah.
And so little girls, little boys are being raised by these women. And the example these women are setting is they don't need a man. They are putting a roof over their heads and they're doing everything. No one's, you need a man to, in case something goes bump at the night. They are the ones killing the roaches. They are the ones, So I don't know if men in our community, because I'm talking to them because, we are the ones who say we want to be leaders. We are the ones who say we want to be respected. But yet at the same time, we kind of want to give that away and say, well, what about the women?
And play victim. Yeah.
You can't be leader and play victim at the same time. So, and I know I'm talking for a long time, but I'm just trying to put this together because I feel like women directly or indirectly understand, okay, this is what a woman is. So I'm going to be like her here, but I'm definitely not going to do that. Right. Or I'm going to be like her there. One or the other. Right. If she's broke, if your mom was didn't make that much money and she had to struggle and work 3 jobs to keep everything afloat, you're going to remember that hard work to keep you eating. And so maybe you're going to go to school. You're going to so that you don't have to work as crazy as hard for such little pay. By example, without her mom saying anything, the little boys are going to say like, man, women are hardworking. What is the boy seeing? I know I keep repeating myself. And what is the boy seeing that's letting them know, like, this is what I'm supposed to do? So when they show up in relationships 10, 15, 20 years later, and the women are like, what do you bring to me? And the guy's like, what are you talking about? I pay half, right? We go 50-50. What's the problem? What? I didn't go 50-50 with my mom, but I'm willing to go 50-50 with you. You should pay for your own food. I'll pay for my own food. What's the issue? And he's like, and then they're going to think like, women are gold diggers, women are this. Again, you met her with the bag. You met her with her car. You met her with her place.
That's why women can look at men like, what are you talking about? Because you're complaining that women just want money and they're gold diggers, but you're also complaining that women want to be too independent. You're saying both. Like you're saying both.
I need you to need me, but not actually want the things I can give you.
Yeah.
It's kind of how it comes across. And I know I'm coming across like I'm on the women's side here, but I'm again, I was raised by a single mother, and I know the struggles it could be like to understand what is this man thing all about? What is this, how do I be in a relationship? I've never seen my mother in a relationship in my entire life. Never seen it. But did she cook? Yes. Did she clean? Yes. Did she iron my clothes? Yes. Did she prepare my clothes? Yes.
Do you think most men that were raised by single mothers would say that their mother would have been a good wife to a man?
They would automatically say yes.
Okay. So
automatically.
Okay.
But yeah, hell yeah.
Okay.
That's what they're looking for.
Okay. Well,
they're
that's not what they're looking for. That is
men
not
are looking
what
for their
that is not what
men
they're
are looking for their mothers who they can bang.
That's what they for. But that's what they say.
Okay.
But when they're telling women to be submissive to them, when they are telling women to be subordinate to them, when they're telling women that it's supposed to be about his vision, his life purpose, that's not how his mama lived. So they're saying that, of course, my mother would be a great wife. But if you take that archetype of what his mother was and you put it into a woman's body, he's going to call her too masculine and not wife material.
Yeah.
So what makes the difference? Again, it's that compartmentalization in their minds where they're just creating these little boxes of false stories. Because those false stories feel safer, right? Because if you're going to say modern women are not wife material, you got to admit to yourself that your mama wasn't either, right?
Wow.
Or modern women are wife material and your mama was wife material too. No?
Yeah. Because your mother is a modern woman.
She is.
Unless, she's like 90 or something or 80. I'm just saying, your mother is a modern woman.
Because she worked outside of the house. She paid the bills. She was the protector. She was the provider. Right?
Yeah.
But they're saying that that's what is the problem with women now. They're saying the problem with women now is that you're just like my mama.
Wow.
Is that not what they're saying? No?
I mean, their mama cooked too, so that's a different.
No, but I'm just saying.
Nah, I get you. They're just like my mama, except she actually cooked.
And how softly did your mama talk to you?
Oof.
Do they not have an expectation that women talk to them softly? Do they not?
I think of a black mother and nothing soft.
Do they not?
You think a strong black woman, nothing weak at all.
So they have an expectation that adult women who are supposed to be their equals, adult to adult, speak to them much more softer than the woman who was supposed to handle you softly. Is that not the expectation? So you're putting it on her, your wife, your girlfriend, to give you what your mama didn't give you, right? You give me that softness that my mother didn't give me. Is that not what the ask is? But that was your mother's job to play that nurturer, right? To speak to you in a particular way. But when you're talking about adult relationships, it's about two equals. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you should be as assertive with me as I should be with you. Not I should speak in a certain way, You understand what I'm saying? Because we're talking adult to adult, are we not?
Yeah.
But how much? But how many men like us? say, I want an assertive woman? How often do you hear that? There's plenty that exists out there, but how often do you hear it in the going narrative on social media?
I can't see any man.
How many black men would not describe their mother as type A and assertive? Probably not many. Probably not many because his mother didn't have a choice, did she? What was she supposed to do? If your father left, what was she supposed to do? What do you think? Well, what was she supposed to do?
Now, if they were married, if their parents are still married, maybe that's different. But
and even so, his mother probably still worked outside of the house.
Yeah.
So what are they asking women for exactly? What is the ask? What is the ask? What are they asking for? Now, I'm not saying, because I do think that, to be fair, I do think a lot of mothers did a bad job with their sons in terms of getting them prepared to be adult males in relationships. I do think that on that front, on the front of, take care of yourself, pay your bills, good job. I'm saying, but to raise them to a point where they could be a good partner in a relationship, I think a lot of single mothers did not do a good job of that. Because if we're honest, a lot of single mothers raise their sons to not trust women. Women are going to do this, they're going to do that, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. It's common. You understand what I'm saying?
And especially single mothers, because it's like, that's like, remember Dr. Phil, what did he say? The red flags, number one, single mother and single mother to a son. Like, that's like,
right? Big red flag.
Big red flag.
Yeah.
And
what's interesting about,
because those sons go back to them, mom, she did this. Yeah.
And what's interesting about that is that we tend to, humans are very self-centered. And we tend to lack a lot of self-awareness. And we tend to think that if we're a particular way, if we think a particular way, the majority of people do as well. So what's interesting about a mother raising her son to say, don't trust these women, she's inherently saying, I'm not really trustworthy.
Wow.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Because we tend to think other people are like us. I'm saying we tend to.
They're not going to think that.
I'm saying we tend to think other people think like us. Yeah. We tend to think other people have the same beliefs that we have. We tend to think that other people move around the world in the same way that we move around the world. Yeah. So when a mother is telling her son, don't trust these women, if your mom is telling you that, I'm not saying go and disrespect her. That's not what I'm saying at all. But just keep it in the back of your mind, like, ooh, is she telling me something useful here? Or is that just a projection? You understand what I'm saying? Because even with our son, I had a conversation with him once, and it's something I try really hard to, because one of my biggest fears is raising mama's boys, and I tell you that all the time. And it's like, no, just no. Like, and I had a conversation with him, and he was telling me, girls are bad, they're this, they're that. And I'm like, babe, am I like that? And he goes, no, you're not, but you're different. I said, I am not different. There are millions of girls all over this world who think the way that I think, who act the way that I act, who have the values that I have. I am not special, and I don't ever want you to think I am. I am not. I am your mother.
You are special.
Listen, well, you know what I mean, meaning unique. I'm not the only woman in this world who thinks the way that I think.
You're
what
very
I'm saying.
Unique.
Okay. I'm just saying, my point is that I believe that there are a lot of good women out there. And because of that, I tell my son that babe, there are a lot of good women out there. I'm not going to tell him, oh yeah, they're conniving. Don't trust them. They're using you. They're going to take advantage of you. They just want your money. They're trying to trap you. I don't think that way. So when a woman is passing those messages onto her son, she can be passing it on in the name of, I love you and I'm trying to protect you.
Yeah.
Right? That could be the guise that message is hidden under, but it could also be a way of keeping him anchored to her.
Yeah.
Right? If you never fall in love with a woman, you are mine forever.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And I know it sounds bad.
No,
I understand. I understand it sounds bad. I get it, but I'm just saying it's a possibility. That's all that I'm saying. So we're in a situation now where we have a bunch of men who were raised by single mothers who swear that they know what it means to be a wife without ever having watched their mother be a wife. So it's like, if you've never watched your mother be a wife, where did your narrative, your story of what a wife is supposed to be even come from?
Old heads that you listen to. Like old heads at the barbershop or, it's interesting because a lot of these dudes talk about, this is why men don't want to marry, da-da-da-da. You can't really find a wife out here. And it's like, what example did you see growing up?
Who are they talking about? And can you name her? Can you say, I want a wife like my aunt Julie? I want a wife like, do you know what I'm saying? Are you able to do that? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just, what's the ask? It just feels like the ask is just all over the place. It seems like at its core, it seems like the only true ask is never allow me to feel bad. Never let me feel bad at any point in time. You know what I mean? That seems like that's what the ask is, which goes back to the question: is women's humanity inherently threatening to male masculinity? Because I can't give you, if you have an expectation that I never make you feel bad, I can't give you that. I'm a human being. I'm gonna fuck up. I'm going to do things you don't like, you know, we're going to clash sometimes, and it is what it is. Yeah. But if your expectation is that I'm just this thing that's there, what was that movie, that old movie with Nicole Kidman, Stepford Wives? If you think that I can give you that, you don't recognize my humanity. You just don't.
Yeah.
You know,
on a robot that just, yeah. I've got that. That was a lot to process. I think we could stop here. That was, yeah. We have more, but maybe we can make it a 2-part thing. I don't know, but that was a lot to digest. Okay. Like my final thoughts, from this conversation is, it actually makes sense. It actually makes sense what's happening in our community, because I don't want to project, but the men and women who don't look like me.
Sorry, the what?
So sorry, the men. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, the men who I know or associate with or I'm familiar with who don't look like me are either in long-term relationships or married. And quite a lot of them who look like me, I think I can count on one hand, one and a half hands. Right? I think, and yeah. So so what I'm trying to say is I think it's something that we in the Black community need to think about, especially when it comes to, Black women are, they're not there. That's why I don't want American women, and they're too masculine, or they're too blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what example did they have growing up? Seeing, they saw a woman taking care of everything, a woman who wasn't allowed to be soft. If a single mom is soft, it's kind of like, what do men think? Men are always like, oh, you got to be on your, P's and Q's. If you lose sight of the prize for 1 second, whatever mumbo jumbo, you're going to lose whatever. That was a rhyme. Anyway, right? And so when does a modern single mom have the ability to ever be soft? When does she have the time to? Because if she does, she can lose. She can miss out. She can miss out on a promotion. She can miss out on so much, right? She has to be, she has to be the first one to go get it and everything. And so her daughter's observing that, whether she speaks to her or not. Her son is also observing that, and in turn, it's sending a message to her daughter on what her daughter should aspire to be, either like her mom or way better, right? And it's showing men, well, this is what, remember our son said that once, and that's why we had to switch it up. What did he say? He said, I can't wait to have a wife.
Yeah.
Because, you can go ahead with the quote. Go ahead.
No, yeah, he came home one day from school and he was like, I was like folding laundry. And typically the routine was, when he would get home from school, I would give him something to eat, put away laundry, whatever. And he got home from school one day and he was like, oh, I can't wait to have a wife. And I was like, what? Because it was just so out of the blue. And I was like, why? He was like, so I don't have to do anything. And that's when, and then when you got home, I was like, babe, we have to have a conversation. And I told you what he said. I was like, listen, he can't see what you're doing when you're at work all day, but when he's home, he sees me doing this, doing that, So he can't see what you're doing. So I'm going to need you to start doing more around the house because we're not raising little, sexist and misogynist here. So I need you to start doing more around the house. And you were like, okay. And, and you started to do more around the house. So I don't remember what you were saying, honey, but I will say something here. I will tell you that anything that I do or have ever done that you would consider, or any trait that I have that you would consider a good trait for a wife to have, I will tell you that I consciously did a lot of work on that, because I was not raised to become a wife. There was none of that training. It just didn't exist. Because I was raised by nothing, just single women, single mothers, like many of them, you know. So that just wasn't. It was never a thought of how to be a good wife and how to find a good husband and that. So any of those traits, I consciously had to make the effort to unveil them in myself, because I do believe that they exist. Those traits exist in women in general. That's just a personal belief. I don't have any science to back that. Like I said, I don't know if it's nature or nurture, so I'm saying personal belief here. But the parts of ourselves that are not accepted by our families in childhood, we mask them, we hide them even to ourselves. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I had to learn to get comfortable with the softer traits in myself. I'll give you an example of that. So, for example, my entire life, I thought that whenever I would be called the word empath when I was a kid, and, you know, I hated it. It felt like a dirty word. And the reason why I hated that label was because I was often told that my high empathy was going to get me taken advantage of in life. So I saw that as a weakness. So I just got really used to like hiding, you know, that super empathic side of myself. And even till this day, you know, sometimes I have to check myself, because whenever I hear women proudly proclaim that they are empaths, I cringe, because it's not really a fun experience. But that's just that's something I have to check myself for, because, you know, it is something to be, you know, to love in yourself. I just wasn't raised to love that. So, and I'm only using the empathy as an example because we tend to say that women are more empathic than men. So I had to learn to teach myself, reparent myself into feeling comfortable with how empathic I am. So I'm only saying that because even though modern women do a lot of things that come across very masculine, but to do those things, if we want to fix the state of relationships and what people would call bring marriage back to for lack of a better term, because people hate this term, back to a natural order, because people hate that term, then it's both men and women who have to unlearn really crappy programming. It is not a one-sided thing in any way, shape, or form. And in order for women to unlearn their crappy programming to tap back into the much more nurturing aspects of themselves, then that's also going to take men taking on that role of provider, protector, and leader. And that doesn't mean she's working outside of the house as much as you are, right? Because there's this expectation that she can be soft while bringing home the bacon at the same time, you know?
Yeah,
so does that make sense? Like
I get it. No, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I had another question, but I honestly just forgot it. But yeah, great conversation. That was a heavy episode. I think there was a lot of I think that dynamic right there is what is telling about our community in terms of, like, you know, it's like how women say things like, I've heard, you know, say, oh, they only think men try, you know, who taught them to.
Yeah.
You know, their mothers took care of everything.
Yeah.
If they're lucky to have a father there, they would see their father taking care of their mother and be like, oh, and so we'll see their mother taking care of their father, and they'd be like, okay, I get this dance and whatever, you know. And that's why 2-parent households are, you know, essential, but that's a whole other story. So anyway,
and a lot of the solutions, you know, like the date out, the divestment, like marry white, that's one of the solutions that you hear often, often for both Black women and Black men. It's like, oh, just marry outside of your race. I understand the logic behind it, because logically, I guess it's to broaden your pool of what it is that you're looking for. But if I'm not mistaken, statistically speaking, in terms of interracial marriages, Black men and white women have the highest divorce rate in interracial marriages, and Black women, white men have the lowest divorce rate in terms of interracial marriages. Now, I don't think that's the solution, but
it's crazy though.
It's, you know, it is what it is.
It is crazy.
Yeah, but there are good reasons for that, by the way, with the Black men, white women having the higher divorce rates, because one of the things that I read was that what happens is, a Black man marrying a white woman is that white woman's first experience of the racism and the discrimination that he has to go through. So when she marries him and they're in a relationship together, she starts to see the microaggressions that he's lived with daily. So now she's dealing with these microaggressions. People are now treating her differently. And, and now she's like, ooh, this feels bad. I don't like that. So that's one of the reasons that was cited for the higher divorce rates. Now, I don't know how accurate that is, but it did cite that as one of the reasons for why the divorce rate of Black men and white women might be higher than other interracial marriages.
Okay. That's a interesting way to end it. I don't
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Well, thank you everyone for joining us on this episode of the Couples Development Podcast. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for 1,000 subscribers. We're really thankful. We hope we're impacting the community in a positive way, providing a perspective of actual married people, a married couple, and who've been together for over 2 decades, well over. And we're hoping we bring some positivity to the community. So if you have any comments or any questions or subject matter you'd like us to discuss, please let us know in the comments. If there's anything we said today that you agree with, please let us know what it is. Disagree with, definitely let us know what it is. We actually prefer to hear the disagreement.
They're going to say it anyways.
Yeah, they're going to say it anyways. Yeah.
We don't have to ask for the negative comments.
Yeah.
It's the positive ones you got to ask for.
Exactly. So, we thank you for sticking with us. We look forward to see you guys next week. Take care. Bye-bye.